Today we're going to do a short lesson on a sound of English to see if you can work out the different ways that you could spell this sound. The sound we're working with is the J sound, okay? And what I'm going to ask you to do in just a minute is in your groups, I'm going to give you one, it's just one sheet per group. Somebody's got to be the volunteer to be the scribe, the person who writes it down. And I just want you to see if as many words as you can think of that begin with the J sound, okay? So in that box there, you're going to write as many words as you can think of that start with J. In this box here, you're going to write as many words as you can think of that have a J sound in the middle. And this one, it's as many words as you can think of that end with J. So we'll just do an example to start with. Can anybody give me a word that starts with J? Yes?
Jam.
Jam, okay. So that's what you'd be doing, is writing jam in there. What about a word that's got a J in the middle? That's much more tricky. Have you got one in the middle?
Adjective.
Ooh, very good. Adjective, and a word that ends in J. The last sound is J.
German. Oh no,
It's got to end with J. I'll give you a clue. Here's a clue. Here's a clue. To try not to think about the letter because that might not help you. It's the sound. It's something you might eat. It's a fruit and it's pretty juicy.
Oh, orange.
Okay, can you hear the J on the end of orange? J, just J. Okay, so I'm going to write this down here. Okay.
That'll be a G.
Don't worry about the letters. If you're thinking about the letter, it might get in the road. You've got to think of the sound. It's got to be J. There's actually lots of words that end in J, and they might not be a G, and they might not be a J. There might be other letters on the end. Did you know that in your brain you have kind of like two ways of thinking about words? One is like what words look like. It's like a little pathway in your brain about what words look like, and the other is what words sound like. And I'm asking you to think about what words sound like first, and then we're going to find out what they look like afterwards, okay? So what you're going to do is go back to your desk. One person's going to be the scribe, and you're going to share ideas of words that start with J, words that have a J in the middle, and words with a J on the end.
J. It's D. Oh, Jaguar.
Well, because we're just going to do this quite quickly, I'm not going to ask you for all your words, but I'm going to do something with my blue pen. I'm going to circle the spelling pattern for the J sound in jam, which is a J, and I'm going to write it over here. And I'm going to ask you to look at your words and see, has anybody got a word that starts with J that is not spelt with a J? Has anyone got something that starts with a J? If you went to the zoo and you saw an animal there, what is it?
Giraffe.
A giraffe. Okay, I'm going to write that up here. And what spelling pattern do I use for the J in giraffe? Is it a J or is it a
G.
G? Has anybody got a word in their sheet where it's a G? Have you got one?
Ginger.
Ginger. Okay, so you've got ginger. So I'm going to write that down here. And you spell your J with a G. Okay. Has anybody got anything else? So we've got a J and a G. Anything else? Germany. Fantastic. So can I squeeze it in? Maybe I won't fit it up there because it starts with a J and the letter is a G. Have you got one as well? Gym, like the gymnastics gym. Okay, so it starts with a G. So when we've got the sound at the beginning of a word, we've found two spelling patterns, haven't we? A J, like my name, Joy, or jam, or jump, or a G, like Germany, or ginger, or giraffe, or gym. Okay? What about when it's in the middle? We've got adjective, and someone had conjunction, and that's because you were clever enough to look around the room and notice that you've got conjunction as a word. Okay. Now what do you think I should circle for an adjective? What letter? J. And what will I circle in conjunction?
J.
J. Has anybody got another word that maybe not spelled with that? What have you found?
Argentina.
Argentina. Fantastic. And so what am I going to circle there?
G.
G. So we're going to put a J and a G, okay? So let's just quickly have some other words. What was your word?
Agile.
Agile, that is a fantastic word. Can you tell me what it means? An agile person is someone who is quick, yeah? Have you got one?
Yep. Fragile.
Fragile, okay, and what is your J spelt with that?
Um,
Would it be spelt with a J or a G?
G.
G, okay. And what do you think fragile means?
Something that can break easy.
Fantastic. Okay, one more. Yep,
Tragic.
tragic. And how did you spell your J in tragic?
G.
With a G. And what does tragic mean?
Really, really sad.
Really, really sad. Okay, look, we could spend, your brains are so full of all these words because you've been thinking down there what words sound like past. But we're just going to stop there for this and do the last one. So we've got orange. Who had another word that ends in a J? Yes.
Age.
Age. Okay. So E belongs to the, thank you, to the long A. So how do you think I spelled the J in age then? What letter would it be?
G.
Just a G. Now let's have a look at orange for a minute. We've got O, N, J. How do you think I spell the J in orange? What do you think?
G. G and E.
G and an E, because the E doesn't have its own sound and it's not part of a long vowel, is it? So we've got a J and a G-E. Okay, let's see what other words you thought of. Yes.
Passage.
Passage. Fantastic. And that's got the G-E. Okay, we're looking for another pattern here. Anything else? Have you got another one?
Cage.
Cage, and it's spelt just with
G.
a G because the E belongs to the A. Yes.
Porridge.
Porridge. How did you spell porridge? Does it have a D in it? It should.
D. G.
It does. Okay, so let's work out how we spell the J in porridge. We've got P, which is a P, O, what's the last sound? J. And so is it, what am I going to circle here? D, G and E, because D, G, E is how we spell the J. And there is a little trick for that, which we will learn about another time. But what I just want you to look at is we've been thinking about the J sound, and we've found how many different ways of spelling it? 3? 4. What are they? J, G, G-E, and D-G-E. And where do you normally see the G-E and the D-G-E in a word? Beginning, middle or end? End. Do you know if you hear a J on the end of the word, it's never spelt with a J, is it? It's always spelt with, it's got to have an E after it. It's either going to be a G-E or a D-G-E. That's how we spell it. But if it's got a long vowel sound, where there's already an E there, you can just use the G. Okay?